Page said, poor dad in Chinese. You probably don't speak Chinese. It's the only copy I still have at the moment. But we're going to be reading The Art of Thinking Clearly. We're up to chapter 53. Decide better, decide less, decision fatigue, which is something that was actually quite popular for a while. So I know that it is Friday and we want to finish the week in a really great way. So let's get into some reading, which is going to do wonders for you. So thank you for joining for the reading, and I'm looking forward to your thoughts throughout this and to everything else that we do. So for weeks, you've been working to the point of exhaustion on this presentation. The PowerPoint slides are polished. Each figure in Excel is indisputable. The pitch is a paradigm of crystal clear logic. Everything depends on your presentation. If you get the green light from the CEO, you're on your way to a corner office. If the presentation flops, you're on your way to the unemployment office. The CEO's assistant proposes the following time for the presentation: 8 a.m., 11:30 a.m., or 6 p.m. Which slot do you choose? The psychologist Roy Baumeister and his collaborator Jean Twenge once covered a table with hundreds of inexpensive items, from tennis balls and candles to t-shirts, chewing gum, and Coke cans. He divided his students into two groups. The first group he labeled deciders, the second non-deciders. He told the first group, I'm going to show you sets containing two random items, and each time you have to decide which you prefer. At the end of the experiment, I'll give you one item you can take home. They were led to believe that their choices would influence which item they got to keep. To the second group, he said, write down what you think about each item, and I'll pick one and give it to you at the end. Immediately thereafter, he asked each student to put their hand in ice cold water and hold it there for as long as possible. In psychology, this is a classic method to measure willpower or self-discipline. If you have little or none, you yank your hand back out of the water very quickly. The result? The deciders put their hands out of the ice water much sooner than the non-deciders did. The intensive decision-making had drained their willpower, an effect confirmed in many other experiments. I actually like to take cold showers, and I like to be under there for as long as possible. And it is very interesting how it will actually help you to strengthen that willpower muscle, by the way. Making decisions is exhausting. Anyone who has ever configured a laptop online or researched a long trip, flight, hotels, activities, restaurants, weather, knows this well. After all, the comparing, considering, and choosing, you are exhausted. Science calls this decision fatigue. That's why usually I plan my trips with as little information as possible. So I will just get the bare basics and the bare necessities, and I don't compare to too many different things. I will look at maybe three, choose one, and off we go. Decision fatigue is perilous. As a consumer, you become more susceptible to advertising messages and impulse buys. As a decision maker, you're more prone to erotic seduction. Willpower is like a battery. After a while, it runs out and needs to be recharged. How do you do this? By taking a break, relaxing, and eating something. Willpower plummets to zero if your blood sugar falls too low. IKEA knows this only too well. On the trek through its maze-like display areas and towering warehouse shelves, decision fatigue sets in. For this reason, its restaurants are located right in the middle of the stores, exactly when you're starting to feel like, I can't do this anymore. The company is willing to sacrifice some of its profit margin so that you can top up your blood sugar on Swedish treats before resuming your hunt for the perfect candlesticks. 4 prisoners in an Israeli jail petitioned the court for early release. Case 1, now we're coming to our times, scheduled for 8:50 a.m. An Arab sentenced to 30 months in prison for fraud. Case 2, scheduled for 1:27 p.m., a Jew sentenced to 16 months for assault. Case 3, scheduled for 3:10 p.m., a Jew sentenced to 16 months for assault. Case 4, scheduled for 4:35 p.m., an Arab sentenced to 30 months for fraud. How did the judges decide? More significant than the detainees' allegiance or the severity of their crimes was the judges' decision fatigue. The judges granted requests 1 and 2 because their blood sugar was still high from breakfast or lunch. However, they struck out applications 3 and 4 because they could not summon enough energy to risk the consequences of an early release. They took the easy option, status quo, and the men remained in jail. always get an early court date. A study of hundreds of verdicts shows that within a session, the percentage of courageous judicial decisions gradually drops from 65% to almost zero, and after a recess, returns to 65%. So much for the careful deliberations of Lady Justice. I'm not blind after all. But as long as you have no upcoming trials, all is not lost. You now know when to present your project to the CEO. This is very, very true. So you will see, am wearing similar trousers. I'm wearing a shirt. I don't have too many. I just rotate the ones that I have. And so I keep it nice and simple. And I think you will see that people like Mark Zuckerberg and President Obama and a lot of people like to keep it simple. They wear something that is the same, not necessarily the same one, but they will have 20 gray shirts, or they will have 5 pairs of blue jeans, and they will just wash one and use the next one, which is the exact same one, but it's just a new pair that's not being washed at that moment. So be very careful with your decision making and how much time you put into it. If you work a job that is extremely taxing on your thoughts, and you are, even if it's quite relatively easy work, if it taxes your mind, if you have to do a lot of thinking, if you are constantly like putting that effort in on a mental level, then very often what's going to happen is you are going to have some time afterwards. If you want to work on something else that is going to be valuable to you, that's not going to work, and you just need very often to take a break. Even if you sit down to get some other work done, you'll find that very often you just zone out and cannot get any other work done until you've had a little break. So keep all of those things in mind. When you notice that you're running out of willpower, give yourself a little break to recharge, because then you'll be able to come back with much more energy. Okay, so I hope that was extremely beneficial for you. It's always great reading for you. There's a couple of people that have sent hearts on a big O, so we'll quickly say thank you and message them and ask them to follow. So that was chapter 53. 54 tomorrow. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Would you wear Hitler's sweater? And this is called the Contagion Bias. Oh, actually, not tomorrow. I always keep forgetting that it is Friday. To me, every day is almost the same, which is a part of what we were just talking about. I like to not think too much about what day it is so that I don't have the decision fatigue of that. So tomorrow, chapter 50. So Monday, chapter 54. Would you wear Hitler's sweater? The Contagion Bias. I'm looking forward to seeing you then. Recharge those willpower batteries over the weekend so that you are ready for another great week next week. I will see you then. And yes, for those of you who are not sure, weekdays, 8 a.m. Sydney time, we are here. We are reading. Thank you for joining. And if you'd like to get in touch, you can watch the replays on YouTube, which is the Passive Cashflow Club. We'd love to see you there. And you can also get in touch through Instagram, and you can find me at business_team_6. And so I look forward to seeing you there. I love your comments and your ideas and the private messages that I receive. And have a great weekend. I'll see you all next week.